John didn't have to come too far as the other leaders to attend this conference. He is the MPP for Ottawa South, first elected in the riding in 2013 by-election. He was re-elected in 2014 and 2018 and took on the role of interim leader last June. He's been a member of the Ontario Liberal Party for over 40 years, volunteering as riding president, working in a constituency office, and serving as executive assistant to former Premier Dalton McGuinty. Throughout his political career, John has worked to bring community-based solutions to important issues, and prior to public service, John spent 18 years managing a small and medium-sized businesses. So please join me in providing a warm welcome to John Fraser, interim leader for the Ontario Liberal Party.
Thanks, Jamie. Good morning. Bonjour à tous. Bienvenue à Ottawa. Welcome to my hometown. It's the place I've lived all my life, and I'm very proud of. And I see here this morning, it's Tim Tierney's here from City Council. I know that Mayor Watson is here, was here this morning, maybe coming back. He says he thought I was talking at 8:30, but I'll hold him to that. Very proud of Jim. Very proud of the work that the council's done. Had a chance to work with this council as an MPP, but also as someone who works in politics, trying to find solutions to the things that are really important to people. And this morning as well too, I saw some of my former caucus colleagues who've gone on to bigger and better things. Bill Morrow, Jim Bradley, Catherine McGarry, Granville Anderson, who are all out there in their communities, building them up. And I want to congratulate them on their election and for the work that they do. And also with me this morning are my colleagues Michael Coteau and Mitzi Hunter. Very proud to have them here. Marie-France Lalonde was here yesterday. She'd be here today, but they're announcing the Health Hub, which was something as a member that she worked on for 4 years. And I know that Phil McNeely, who was also a city councillor, worked on for many years. So that's being done this morning. And so otherwise she would be here. I'm really proud of all the work our caucus does on behalf of the communities it represent, and as importantly, on behalf of the 1.1 million Ontarians who voted Ontario Liberal in the last election. Now, I'll be frank. We get a lot of teasing from the Conservatives and the NDP. They say to us, you guys, you could hold your caucus meetings in a broom closet here at Queen's Park. That's pretty tough. And I respond by saying, well, oh yeah? Well, Mike Schreiner, he can hold his in a phone booth, if he can find one. I know he'll be up later. I know he's in back and hearing that right now. So the Premier once called me the leader of the minivan party, as if it was something that was designed to hurt me, to hurt us. Here's the way I look at it. They build the minivan in Windsor. The minivan is the workhorse of families and businesses across this province. It's a badge I wear with honor. And on top of that, the minivan is a good way to travel across this province. And that's just what our leadership candidates are doing, traveling across this province, listening to Ontarians about the things that are important to them. Now, I know Mitzi and Michael are here this morning. They're two contestants. I know Alvin Tedjo was here yesterday. I'm not sure whether Stephen Del Duca, who many of you probably know, was here, but there are contestants. And I encourage you, I'm not asking you to take out a card. I know that'd be a stretch. But to talk to them. Talk to them about what's important in your communities. Reach out to them. Listen to them. Find out what they're thinking. We're writing a new chapter in the 160-year-old book that is the Ontario Liberal Party. We know who we are. We know we're builders, but we know this is a new time and things need to change. And we know as a party we have a lot of work to do. I think I've said that to you before last year here. But we also know the tide rolls in, the tide rolls out, and the tide rolls back in again. So we know we have to work hard to be ready again one day to build up those things that Ontarians count on, to work with you to do just that. And I'm proud of our government's record over 15 years of doing that with you, whether it be cost shares of public health and land ambulance, uploading billions in social costs, public transit, policing, the opioid crisis. We all worked together to build Ontario up. And an important piece is there was predictability and stability in working together. We didn't always agree, and sometimes you were mad at us, and sometimes we were mad at you. But we put those things aside because we know there's not just one taxpayer, there's only one family. And they don't make a distinction about who's taking care of their needs. They just expect all of us to take care of it. So last year in my speech, I promised not to talk about Premier Ford and his government. Said you had to build your relationship. I'm not going to make that same promise today. There's too much at stake. I'm not going to pull any punches. Last year was a wasted year. A year of misplaced priorities, endless campaigning that didn't, as the government likes to say, protect what matters most. It was a year of intervening in municipal affairs, a municipal election, tearing up contracts. I mean, so much so that the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, these are business people. They tend to be on the blue side of things. And the American Chamber of Commerce said, hey, stop. What you're doing is bad for business. It's a year of misplaced priorities. And if there was only one thing you needed to know about this government, it's that they hired a $1,000 a day special advisor for alcohol, and they axed the child advocate. That says it all. The person who defends the most vulnerable children in Ontario is less important than booze. So, we get elected to deliver things to people, all of us. They don't make a distinction. So currently this government is using the deficit as a context for that cut that I just talked about, and the cuts that you know are coming right at you. You heard that yesterday. They're coming. Like cuts to public health and childcare, and then one that really interests me is the cuts to 2 funds to long-term care homes that affects the municipal sector the most, to do with high wages because of the box that you're in. But most importantly, forget about what the financial details of that is. That's care for people. And I know that as municipalities, I'm glad you're in that space. I know not all of you are happy that you're there, but I know that you put more money into it than the province gives you because it's important to your community. So these are things that families count on. And we need to remember the fiscal situation that this government inherited. An economy that led the G7 in jobs and growth for 5 years. The lowest unemployment rate in decades. In the top 3 for foreign direct investment in North America for 5 years. It is an economy that was fully primed. And we all know that. So you may also know that Ontario has the lowest spending per capita on public services of any province in Canada, 20% below the average. And we also have the lowest revenue per capita, tax revenue per capita of any province in Canada. If you don't believe me, read the Financial Accountability Officer's report. So if you deconstruct the deficit number, the government came out last year saying it was $15 billion. I know governments do this, right? We know that. But they're overstating it by very large proportions. So if we look at, they said $15 billion last year. In the budget, it's 11.7. And if you deconstruct that, Part of it is, and a big chunk of it is the accounting treatment that they're using for pension assets. They're accepting that conditionally. I'm going to make a prediction here right now. In 2 years, they're going to go back to what it was before, and they'll be instantly $2.7 billion off the bottom line. They're using it to inflate the deficit. They're putting the Fair Hydro plan on the tax base and not on the rate base where it belongs. And then they've forgone about $800 million in revenue in tax cuts. They've got a deficit situation, and they're saying, no, we're going to give you back more money. If any of you did that in your municipalities, you'd know that would be irresponsible, and you couldn't do it. So why can they? You know, the most concerning thing is they ended cap and trade, that's revenue. They're foregoing revenues. That adds up to about another $3 billion. So at a time when you need to fund those things, you need the money, you've got a deficit, and there's things that people count on, you're not. You're taking in less money. And if you look right now at their budgets forecasted out, there's more coming. There's more revenue decreases. So they're going to be more cuts, and they're going to be deeper. So Ontario Liberals believe that Ontario municipalities and our partners are partners in serving Ontarians. The mandates of the province and its municipalities have become intertwined over 25 years, partly through government changes, and more importantly by the expectations of the people that we serve. I want to tell you a personal story. Last September, my mother had a stroke. She was shopping. My sister went to pick her up. She was on a bench. She was unresponsive. She was outside a Farm Boy store here. So luckily the store manager called the paramedics. They were there very quickly. My mother was in the hospital within 20 minutes. She was in surgery within the magic hour. So I was in Queen's Park. I came right home. So when I was standing over her bed, that 3x7 space, nothing else mattered. Not my job, not the issues that were in front of us as a party, not my car, not the vacation. And many of us have had that same experience. Nothing matters more than that person who needs care. She's better now. We're helping her stay at home. But if it wasn't for those people, the paramedics, the nurses, the doctors who worked together, she would not have had a chance. So I wasn't concerned about who was responsible for it. What I really wanted was for it to be there when my family needed it. And that's our job. That's what our communities expect from us. They expect us to work together for those things that families count on, whether it be land ambulance, long-term care, public health, or public transit. The Premier said multiple times yesterday, we're going to get out of your way. We're going to get out of your way. I'm going to get out of your way. You know what that sounds? First of all, that doesn't really jive with One Bill 108, but it's true. What that really means is, hey folks, you're on your own. You're on your own. That's the wrong message. That's not the message, not that you need to hear, but the families that we all represent need to hear. And our message to those families and to you is Ontario Liberals believe that municipalities are our partners, that we have to find ways to work together, to collaborate, to cooperate on those things that all of our families depend on. Because they don't care who's delivering it. You and I both know they expect it to be there. And the record of what we've done together, and I'm not going to go on a litany of it, the things that we accomplished together over 15 years have helped families to prosper. So, in closing, I want to thank you for your attention, but most importantly, what I want to say to you is as a party, we're committed to working hard every day to earn the opportunity to work with all of you again to build up those things that all of our families count on. Thank you very much. Merci. Have a great day.
Thanks, John. It's now my pleasure